and welcome to Connected, episode 442. It's made possible this week by our sponsors, Fitbod, Electric, ZocDoc, and SetApp. My name is Stephen Hackett, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Myke Hurley.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I am good. We are also joined by Mr. Federico Viticci.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Good. We're all here. We got a bunch of stuff to do today. I'm excited. What?
No.
Do you remember? I think I did this once before. It's not actually a quiz, but we're technically tiptoeing into the quizzes here because I have quizzes follow up. Okay. This isn't actually a quiz. I have an important piece of quizzes news for you. Very important.
The points
I was contacted by Relay FM historian Kate to let me know I made an error in the scoring of the last episode.
Wow. Stop the count.
Well, that was the problem, as I stopped the count too soon. So I'm dealing with a lot of numbers, right? And I go into a spreadsheet. In the question, I think it was question number 7, what is Federico's preferred Mac? Federico's got the 10, 20, and 40 point answers. But in my spreadsheet, I wrote 10, 20, 20. So Federico not actually won the entire game and is 20 points higher than I said he was.
So this is good news for me.
This is great news for you, yes.
I love this piece of follow-up.
Yeah. So I made a slight
Thank you, Kate.
error.
You got my back. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Kate couldn't have been nicer in the way that they presented this information to me, which I really appreciated.
Looking out for justice. I love this. Thank you.
I was surprised that only Kate wrote in about this, but there were apparently a couple of people that noticed and they were discussing it in the background, but only one person contacted me.
Only person who cares about the truth.
Yes.
And, what is right in this program. Thank you.
So the actual score for the Do the Passionate Ones Know You round 2 was Stephen scored 580 points and Federico scored 590 points.
Nice.
And so now the overall total scores for this year is Stephen at 1020 and Federico at 1120.
Nice. I'm the champion.
That's the end of my follow-up. Thank you to Kate and everybody else that worked together to try and correct me.
No, I'm glad it's been corrected because when I mount my comeback and win this year, I don't want to be tainted by your poor arithmetic.
No collusion.
No collusion.
So somebody was writing banana phone in a lot, which was really annoying, and I mentioned how annoying I found it. Brett wrote in to say, the banana phone reference. I did not give that answer for the quizzes, but it's a very important reference to a classic children's song. From Wikipedia, Banana Phone is a children's album released by Raffi and Michael Kreber in 1994. The album is best known for its title track, which uses puns such as "it's a phone with appeal," like appeal, and
that's good.
non-words like bananula and interactivodular, as Raffi extols the virtues of his unique telephone. This is absolutely 100% not at all helpful in any way, or relevant, or anything.
I have no idea what any of this is.
Yeah. It's completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter that somebody said this. There is absolutely zero reason to write banana phone 7 times into the survey. Who
are Raffi and Michael?
They're the people who voted in the poll, clearly.
That is the only way I would find this acceptable. If the person who created the song filled out the quiz. I don't care that you like the song or that you think it's funny. Just stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Well, never stop.
I bet this is an American thing, right? I bet this is an American thing.
I'd never heard of it. I even looked it up on YouTube and it didn't ring any bells deep in my memory.
I want to bet because Americans, they have a tendency to believe that all of the cultural references are shared worldwide.
Yes, that's true.
Canadian.
Oh, that's why no one knows about it.
Even worse.
Wow. Those Canadians.
We're going to start a war with Canada. They ain't going to fight back. They'll just apologize.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Canadians?
Look at Michael. Michael seems to be having a good time in these photos.
Apple Music Classical. Boys, we're just a few days away from its launch on the iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited?
I even forgot about it.
Brutal.
I mean,
Adrian wrote in, because we were talking about how it's on the iPhone and it's not on the iPad and Mac. It will be coming to Android, quote, coming soon, I think is what Apple has said. And Adrian wrote in to remind us of that and kind of wondering why it would be on Android but not the Mac and iPad. Any thoughts?
I think they have a point. I think this idea of from Adrian's feedback. So this idea that there are more subscribers who don't have an iPhone than there are iPad or Mac users who don't have an iPhone. Like, actually, I think this explanation makes a lot more sense than mine.
What about because that one, I think I said it on the episode. It's like, that makes sense, but didn't feel necessarily like the reason to do it, because there are some Android-based like DACs or whatever. And I still say, like, sure, but this is Apple, though.
Sure, but yeah, it's still not a good look for the.
It's not good enough in my, and I think it'd be fine if there was no Mac app. It's the iPad app, which is I think the most egregious.
It's right there, like.
Yeah, it's the same operating system essentially, right? Like, all good apps should be made with the way that they should be able to be scaled to the iPad. So, especially if this is, as you would assume, built on the architecture of the music app, which already does this,
And we should say, like, Apple Music is on Android because Beats Music was on Android, and I think Apple wants their music service to be as big as possible, right? I mean, clearly there's some strategy there beyond just like the historic reasons, but it's definitely not a good look for Apple's other products.
iOS 16.4 release candidate is out, which means the thing is probably launching next Tuesday or Wednesday. I want to say probably Tuesday.
Woo!
So it's pretty much done. We have the full release notes. A couple of things that I saved that I wanted to point out to you guys. I copied the release notes on my iPhone. So we confirmed 21 new emoji, notifications for web apps. We talked about this. Something new that wasn't mentioned before, the voice isolation audio effect. The thing that used to be like FaceTime and voice over IP apps only, that sort of isolates your voice, cuts out background sounds and noise. It's also coming to cellular phone calls, which is pretty nice because there are many times where, for example, I call my mom, right, and just a straight up regular phone call. And to have that audio effect sounds pretty cool. Like if I'm, I don't know, like if I'm at the mall, for example, and my mom calls me, I can just turn on voice isolation and she's going to hear me better. It's pretty nice, I think. Pretty nice addition.
I think it makes sense.
And on iPadOS, there's the thing that I think is new in the release notes, like they didn't previously disclose this addition. If you guys can help me make sense of this, please. Apple Pencil Hover adds tilt and azimuth support, so you can preview your mark at any angle before you make it in notes and supported apps.
Can you spell that word for me?
Azimuth, Azimuth.
It's like, no, tilt. Yeah. Have you spelled tilt? The direction of a celestial object from the observer expressed as the angular distance from the north or south point of the horizon to the point at which a vertical circle passing through the object intersects the horizon.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Azimuth should be the opposite of zenith, I think. Anybody here? Zenith.
How
and
could
azimuth?
I possibly correct you?
No,
You know what I mean?
You never heard about this? Zenith and azimuth? But I can never recall which is which.
I'm currently looking at a diagram on Google which has celestial meridian, zenith, observer, horizon, star, altitude.
So zenith is a thing.
So,
oh no, they're not. Zenith and nadir. Oh, thank you, Jason, and thank you, Vidit. They're not the opposite. Okay, so
what
there was
is
something
happening right now? I don't understand 70% of the words people are saying.
All right. So I know this. I know this because when I was little, I gotta tell you, when I was little, I was an incredible nerd when it came to the Macchina, the Macchina of Santa Rosa in Viterbo, the big celebration in my hometown. So, and there used to be these like technical sketches of each model of the Machina. And I remember when I was like 7 or 8, I was looking at these technical drawings of each model, and there used to be like this word like zenith point. And I remember asking my mom, what's a zenith point? And I believe that the zenith point of the Machina used to be like the Machina as seen from above.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what this
So
diagram looks like.
Imagine if you stand on a tall tower and at the exact perpendicular center of it and you look down, that should be the zenith point. So what is the azimuth point anyway?
It looks like if you were to tilt something and move it kind of like left and right based on this article.
Okay.
Or on this diagram, I should say.
So zenith and nadir. Oh, thank you, Jason. Those are really good words.
I don't know why we can't just get along with tilt. Like, I feel like tilt would be perfectly acceptable, but maybe to people that really care, they want azimuth written in there. But that's good news, I suppose.
I mean, you're supposed to know these fancy words, you know?
Why?
Well, it's good culture. It's good education to know them.
Yeah, I have not a lot of education, and I've done fine. You know what I mean?
It's okay, man. It's fine. Cool. So anyway, 16.4.
Education.
This small topic took us places we did not expect.
Yeah.
Steven, what you got for us?
Well, there is one more feature in the release candidate that I wanted to point out is that it includes duplicate detection and merging in a shared photo library. Now, that has been, I mean, unless I'm just like misunderstanding, that's been on the Mac. Like, it's on the Mac right now. I'm looking at it. I opened Photos in preparation for this. Like, oh, I can see duplicates, and I can see them in, like, across personal and shared library. But anyways, I don't know if it's new to the Mac as well or they're changing something about it, but it is on iOS now, which is great. It's a pretty sweet feature. I have not really had much trouble with it. I mean, my photo library, I think as we've talked about, is like a real disaster right now with having combined my wife and I's, and there's a lot of overlap and stuff. So I probably will just let the duplication thing figure out what it wants to do and then go about my, tagging. And I got a bunch of photos without dates and locations and stuff to fix, but so far so good.
Oh, by the way, the zenith point of the Machina is if you stand below it and you look up, I think. And the nadir point,
okay.
Which I did when I was little.
Yeah.
My parents took me, I was like 10, to see it inside before the event.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like, it's super scary, but like you stand inside it and under it, basically. And you look up and you see this whole structure inside, like electrical wires, like these are, steel, reinforced steel cables. It's wild. So when you look up, it's the zenith point. And if you were to stand on top of it all and look down, that would be the nadir point of it. Cool.
I love watching that live stream when they're carrying it through town, and it's amazing.
They're changing it, I think, next year. Because of the model is supposed to refresh every 7 years, but then because of COVID, the local administration wisely chose to spend the money elsewhere during the years of the pandemic, and so they were like, we are gonna spend a bunch of money on a new model in 2024. So the Machina and the iPad Pro going hand in hand with new models in 2024.
OLED Machina coming in 2024.
It's going to cost twice as much for
be
no real reason.
It's going to look the same.
Still can't run 2 apps at a time very well. I just want to shout something out on the show. I've had, over the last few months, people have asked me, like, oh, can I get the wallpapers or the calendar dates from the Kickstarters? Because I run those where you can buy them separately or during a Kickstarter or afterwards. But I was like, I should just have them up year round. And so there's a link in the show notes if you want those wallpapers or ICS versions of the calendars that you can subscribe to in iCloud or Google or wherever you are. They're all available now year round. Threw that together this week, and I think people are enjoying it, which is cool. I'm an e-merchant now.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Coming after Jeff Bezos.
Wow.
I even have a book on here. I've got my old iMac and OS X book on here as a PDF now. So
Lofty goals. Why don't you put the Genius book on there?
nope. That we don't talk about that project.
That just popped into my head, man. That was a good book.
That caused a lot of trouble.
What
with
was
some
it
people.
called?
Bartending.
Genius name.
Yeah.
Listener, listen to me. Do not look for this book. You're not going to find it. It wasn't very good.
I just found it on Mac Stories. Yeah, there you go. There it is right there.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Fitbod. Getting fitter is one of those things that has knock-on effects in other areas of your life that you might not expect, like having more energy and sleeping better. But it can be hard to know where to start. I mean, getting started with a workout routine, it can be really intimidating. And that's where Fitbod comes in. It's an easy and affordable way to build a fitness plan that's just for you. Fitbod's algorithm learns about you, your goals, and your training ability. It creates custom dynamic programs based on your experience and any equipment you have. And it's all in an app that makes it incredibly easy to learn and perform each exercise. Personal fitness is not about competing with other people. I don't want to see a video of John Voorhees, deadlifting something and try to replicate what he's doing. I need something that's going to work for me. That's when it sticks. Everyone's fitness path is different. That's why Fitbod uses actual data from your workouts to customize things exactly to suit you. So it looks at strength training ability, past workouts, available gym equipment, and even things like muscle fatigue and recovery. So it takes all of that data and creates workouts just for you. My favorite part about the app is the 1,400 video tutorials in it. So if you're unfamiliar with an exercise, you can see a professional doing that exercise, usually from multiple angles. Make sure that you're doing it correctly and safely. And Fitbod integrates with a whole bunch of stuff. The Apple Watch, Wear OS smartwatches, and apps like Strava, Fitbit, and Apple Health. I've used Fitbod for several years now, and I really do love it. Anytime I'm working out, it's open on my phone, and I can really see the change because of it. Personalized training of this quality can be expensive, but Fitbod is just $12.99 a month or $79.99 a year. You can get 25% off your membership, though, by signing up on the web at fitbod.me/connected. So go there now and get your customized fitness plan at fitbod.me/connected, and you'll get 25% off your membership. That link is also in the show notes, fitbod.me/connected. Our thanks to Fitbod for their support of the show and Relay FM.
Wade wrote in and asks, follow up to the roast of your Apple Watches from episode 437. Do any of you use alternate Apple Watch faces for different activities?
I don't know if this counts as a valid answer to that question. I have 3 watch faces that I use. I have a work one, a personal one, and a sleep one. Every once in a while, usually when it's like New Year's Eve or when there's a birthday party and we are counting down for, at midnight, I put on an analog watch face, which I usually never use because my stance on analog watch faces, but it's a very effective way to do 10, 9, 8, the whole countdown thing. So when that occasion occurs, I installed watch face beforehand, I use it, and then when after the celebration is done, I just delete the watch face.
You delete it?
Yeah, you can just swipe it up and just get it out of the way. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see the clock hands. It's not the medieval age.
When you have embargoes, what do you use to count the seconds?
I just look at the minute, and when the minute is up, I just wait.
You just got your finger just hovering over the publish button. You just wait for the number to change.
Yeah. You can't trust WordPress scheduling in an embargo situation.
No, you don't want to schedule an embargo.
No, but I'm saying you could be waiting up to 59 seconds with your finger.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of it, right?
Nice.
I have my whole routine before big embargoes. I like to listen to "Live Forever" by Oasis. So in case anything bad happens,
so specific.
I literally do this. And also before publishing my big iOS reviews, I always listen to "Live Forever" by Oasis. It's like my good luck thing. But also it's inspirational. Like in case anything bad happens, I just, live forever. I'm going to live forever.
Wait.
Yeah.
Can you tie those two things together for me? Why,
Like-
if anything bad happens, does Live Forever help you?
Like because I like to be in the mindset that even if I somehow destroy my website, I'm gonna live forever in other people's memories.
Okay, so you're gonna live forever anyway. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I want to ask Stephen both of these questions. Do you have any Apple Watch faces, and what do you do when you publish things on an embargo?
I don't have an embargo very often, which is nice.
Okay.
But my main watch face, as discussed, is modular. But I also have modular compact, which is basically the same, except I ditch the calendar and use like the full size carrot weather one. That's normally my weekend face because I get the time, activity rings, and the weather. I also have a modular face for workouts that has a stopwatch, and then the complications are overcast, Fitbod, and carrot weather and activity rings. And then I don't really want to see anything. I just want to kind of wear a watch and it be as simple as possible. I love Solar Graph, which is an old watch face, but I'm a big fan of it. And that's my maybe it's, maybe we're out to dinner or something and I've worn the Apple Watch, but I don't really want anything except the date and time. Then I use that one.
I feel like you two were sandbagging me when we did the watch roast, and the fact that you will use 4 watch faces each.
But I would say 90% of the time I'm on the one we talked about. I don't have a separate sleep one because I use the sleep mode, so my watch just goes, in the sleep mode where there's no face. So,
Right.
I would say at least 90% of the time I'm on that main one.
Okay, I use just one. I have 4 on the thing, but they're just the watch faces I was using previously.
Yeah.
Pretty much every time. Well, whenever Apple brings out a new watch face that I like, I just switch to that one. But then the ones from previous years are still there. So I use, Metropolitan now. Before that, I was using California. Before that was World Time. Before that was GMT. So they all just kind of live there like a little family, it's like a family tree kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a time machine backup of watch faces.
You know what? It actually is kind of like that. That's actually, side note question. How and if and
What?
upon which device?
How and if upon which?
How and if and upon.
Yeah, that's a lot of English, man.
How if upon, time machine.
What are you even saying?
What is
Are you
happening?
okay?
Can I stop? What I want to know is,
Yeah, present tense. Come on, go on. You can do it.
okay, so let me go back. I feel like I got to start over again. So, time machine. Time machine. All right, so my MacBook Air, right?
Is this all about your MacBook Air? This whole sentence?
As I'm saying this, I'm now realizing there's probably the easier way to do this. But my MacBook Air, I plug it into my studio display every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I plug it straight into the studio display because then the studio display just has a couple of dongles used filling up the other USB-C ports. I don't use a dock for that one because it's simple.
Okay.
But I came to the realization that I'm, because of that, not backing up that machine to Time Machine.
Oh. That's fine.
Whatevs, man. Whatever. Everything's in Dropbox and everything's being backed up to Backblaze. It's totally fine. But what I wanted to just see, is there still a way to do Time Machine over the network?
Yes, there is.
How do you, and see, now this is why I was like, how and upon, right? How do you do it? And upon which device do you do it? How do you do that? I don't even understand how it works.
How and upon if.
I am going to put a link in the Google Doc that you can go read later about it because it's complicated to talk about. But basically, you set it up on a Mac and it's in the sharing system settings pane.
Okay.
I use this.
But what does it back up to, though?
Yeah. So I use this at home, not for my machine, but for my wife's machine and the couple of laptops the kids use for school homework and stuff. And I just have maybe it's a 6 terabyte spinning hard drive hanging off the Mac Mini that's under my TV. That's kind of like the media center computer.
Okay.
And those laptops all just back up over the network to that 6 terabyte drive. And so you set it up on the host computer, if you will, and then you go to the remote computer and tell it, oh, back up over here. It's really pretty straightforward. It used to require like Mac OS X server back in the day, but now it's just built into regular Mac OS.
Okay. So I would need to put another drive on, say, my MacBook Pro, which is always docked and just sleeping.
Yeah.
To make this work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That is a feasible thing to do.
Oh, yeah. In my experience, I've had it running for years, and it's been really solid. Like, I don't really ever get failures on it where, like, a computer just stops backing up. It's been really, really great. Now, because it's over the network, leave the computer there over the weekend for the first backup. Like, the first one's going to take a while. But then after that, like, you know, I mean, it's pretty quick because it's just over the local network. So it's it's totally manageable and really easy to do now.
Okay. I'll take a look into this. How upon?
Mm-hmm.
And what?
Nailed it. Cubes are out. Triangles are in.
No, give people the goods. Read what you wrote in our document. It's funny.
Tiny topic 2. Tired cubes, wired triangles.
See? Perfect.
I disagree.
I will say, when I first read that, I was very confused. I read it as tired cubes, wired triangles. I was like, what the hell's going on? Right, like, if you just read it, like, not in that format, tired cubes, wired triangles. It's very confusing. But yeah.
So this is a new multi-charger from Anchor. So it's 15-watt MagSafe charging. And it's like a little triangle. Your phone goes on the front of it. And then the Apple Watch arm kind of just sticks out the side. And I'm really just joking.
And then there's the charger on the underneath.
On the zenith of it or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that the zenith?
I don't know. I blacked out in that section.
It's on the nadir because you would be up and looking down
It's
on it
the
to see it.
Exactly. Thank you, Myke. Yes.
See?
Okay.
See, who needs school when I can just learn this on a podcast?
Exactly. Exactly.
I learned everything I needed to know from podcasts.
Same.
I learned
to
everything
this
I need
day.
to know from Jason Snell, apparently.
Podcast
So it's,
University. That's what we all
Yes.
went to. We
Yes.
studied at Podcast
the
U.
PU. Yeah.
Studied at PU. PU.
MPU. Should you rebrand MPU as My Podcast University?
Mac Power University. Yeah, my podcast. There you go. Nailed it. Got it. Love it. Just as I'm going to put some follow up inside of this topic before we talk about it, I caught up on Mac Power users.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also like fully up to date now too. I just hadn't listened to that episode yet where you spoke about your computer changing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't fully understand what you've done or why you've done it. Like, I feel like you just kind of said, I've done this thing, but there was no, like,
I've done this
you were
thing.
just like, oh, a laptop seems nicer. Like, that wasn't a reason.
I expanded upon it in the 512 members newsletter.
Oh, for God's sake.
I guess what Myke is trying to say, imagine the show we would have been able to put on, Myke and I, if you told us you had switched computers.
Because David is just nice to you.
We would have put on a whole drama about it. And instead, you just got a nice guy to tell you, yeah, that's a good idea.
Why are you making it so complicated, right? Like, I have to listen to Mac Power users and then read your newsletter to get the full story. Why can't you just tell me?
Because this is your response. Because we want to get to do this.
Okay, fair enough.
You didn't want
I
to get
want more from you. So, like, you just said, like, oh, I just stopped using my Mac Studio. Now I have a laptop. Like, that's not satisfactory.
Not satisfactory. So it's it really came down to the fact that I've been running the 2-computer lifestyle for like 7 or 8 years now. A long time.
Tell me about it.
Since I moved into the studio. So I guess like 7.5 years. I like a lot about the 2-computer lifestyle. And so I would have a desktop and then I would have a notebook. And the notebook would be a subset of my data, my applications, my workflows, all that sort of stuff. And it was especially great or like not a big deal during the pandemic because I was just always using the desktop, right? Because I didn't go anywhere. But increasingly, and it's kind of a thing I want to do this year even more, is work more out of the office when I can. And there were just several times where I would be in the situation where like, oh crap, the podcast I was going to edit here at the coffee shop is on the Mac Studio at home or the Mac Pro or whatever the desktop was at the time. Even though it's easier than ever to run the 2 Mac lifestyle, I just kind of realized that like this is overhead that I don't actually need because the Studio Display is awesome and the MacBook Pro is awesome and I can get a Thunderbolt dock and everything runs through that. So it really was about simplifying my setup. I'm really enjoying having like everything with me at one place. So like last week we were on spring break. I was out of town for a few days. And I took my computer. I was like, oh, I have just everything with me. I don't have the overhead of like, make sure the files are in Dropbox or, oh, I changed this setting or this, whatever on that computer. It's not changed on this computer. So it's really simplification. And the 14-inch MacBook Pro is so good. It seemed like the way to go when I wanted to try this out.
But you didn't have one of those, though, did you? You had to get one of those, right?
I had a 14-inch M1 Pro, the first 14, but Mary took it. The kids were using an old Intel MacBook Air that was like on its last legs, and so her M1 Air went down to them for schoolwork and, Roblox and stuff. And then she got my 14-inch MacBook Pro. I was willing to get her whatever she wanted, but she really likes the size of the 14-inch. Like, because she's been on MacBook Airs forever.
Didn't you have an M2 Air?
So I have an M2 Air, and I told her, I was like, if you want, like, what do you want? And she kind of looked at them both, and she said she liked the bigger screen of the 14-inch. Because she went from... for a long time, she had an LG 4K Ultrafine, like the 21.5 inch. And she got away from that and like just using a notebook as a notebook. And so she wanted the bigger screen. She really liked the 14 inch. So she has the M1 Pro 14 inch. Like that is still in our house. It's sitting in the house right now, like on the kitchen table.
Hold on a second. I'm lost. So you had a couple of weeks ago a Mac Studio, a 14-inch MacBook Pro M1, and an M2 MacBook Air.
Well, she was using the MacBook Pro. She's been using it for months now.
Oh, that was when you got the Air.
Yeah, so when I got the M2 Air, I bought it initially to review it, and then while I had it,
right,
like
that
the Intel
Pro
Air was just falling apart. I was like, okay, which one, Mary? Which one do you want? And I'll just take whatever you don't, because at that time it was my secondary computer. Well, she chose the MacBook Pro, leaving me with the M2 Air as my notebook. And I love the M2 Air. It's like an amazing laptop, but it's not enough for my daily. And so I ended up with a second 14-inch MacBook Pro in the house.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
So you have... Well, I'm not done. So you have... And you bought a new M1 Pro, MacBook Pro?
This is an M2 Pro.
You bought the M2 Pro MacBook Pro?
Yep.
Okay. But you also only have one studio display now.
Yes.
You had two studio displays.
I did.
Why do you now only have one studio display?
Because I'm using the MacBook Pro open to the left of the studio display.
Do you like that? I hate that.
I do like it. I'm using it.
I don't like the screen's so small when you got it far away.
Yeah, it is. But the only thing, like right now, I have Timery, Todoist, and Audio Hijack over there. And so it's just kind of like a status things I kind of always want to keep my eye on. And Zoom's over there, but I think hidden at the moment. And then all of the work on the main studio display. I could have definitely used the MacBook Pro in clamshell mode, but ended up going with this. And I actually really like it.
Okay.
The other sort of benefit to this is it's a much more mainstream setup than what I've had in a long, long time. I think there's something to be said for that too. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the Mac Studio was amazing. I loved the 2019 Mac Pro. I cannot wait to buy another one in like 15 years when they're super cheap on eBay. But it's running a 14-inch MacBook Pro and studio display, very common. And so it is nice to kind of be in the world that a lot more people are in. And like, I've got a Thunderbolt dock, and kind of in that world where most listeners and readers are, has been. I think it's beneficial to a degree.
Now, Steven, I need you to not listen for a minute. I have to ask Federico something. Don't worry about it. It's just something I got to ask him. You don't need to worry about it. Federico.
Yes.
What's he going to do when that Mac Pro comes out? He's going to buy it, right?
Yeah, he is.
Like, So like
For
all
sure.
of this, like, oh, it's so good living one computer, and then it's like
Yes,
we're gonna get to like, I don't know, July. It's like, oh, I got this new Mac Pro because it's so powerful, and like, I need it for my work. And by the way, living the 2-computer lifestyle is so nice. Like that's what's gonna happen in like July.
He's gonna do that. Someone recently asked me on Mastodon something along the lines of, "Isn't it ironic that in your line of work you're never gonna be truly satisfied?" And that hit me hard.
Ooh, that
and
hurts.
I realized.
Wait, Steve, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
Go away.
I realized. So that hit me real hard. I was like, yeah, this person is right. But at the same time, I realized that there's no one more emblematic than this problem than Stephen Hackett.
Yes. The most unsatisfied of all of us.
Like,
Steven,
we
you can
all
come
have
back now
this
if you like.
problem. We all have this problem.
Yeah.
But Stephen really has this problem.
I think there's something nice in that feeling when it comes to technology.
Like,
I've never been satisfied. Because
like
you're always on the lookout for something more.
Exactly. Like we poke fun in good fun, light-hearted fashion at Stephen. But actually, like, I think we're all a little bit... There's a little Stephen inside every one of us. Like in the sense that it's the nature of our work to always try things and tweak, and some people have made that like actually their career, to constantly tinker and do this kind of stuff. But I think it's fun. You can overdo it. I guess what I'm trying to say, to Myke's point, you can overdo it, but it's also fun at the same time.
Yeah.
But Stephen does it in a way that is always like, you have mastered, I think, this process of making an announcement and then flip-flopping on that announcement. Like, you've really, made it your own as your thing, which we appreciate. That is why ultimately Myke and I were just sad that you didn't tell us on this show about it. Because we would have been supportive. After some fun, as always, we would have been supportive,
Yeah. Because none of us will ever be satisfied.
Yeah, that's true.
Ultimately.
One reason it came up on NPU, though, is that David made a pledge that he was not going to buy a new Mac in 2023.
Which is stupid.
Oh, no, don't make
He is not going to stick to that
He's
at
not
all.
going to stick to that. It's not going to happen.
No, there's no way. And so part
And it
of
did come up very naturally in the episode, because he's like, we both have 2 Macs, right, Steven? Like, I know why you had to say it at that moment. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this anchor wired charger thing,
I forgot what we were talking about.
it's a triangle. And previously, it's been said that cubes were the best shape. And Anchor makes a little charging cube, which I think Federico is a fan of. Are you going to buy the triangle charger?
No, they are doomed, because cube is a superior shape, right? The triangle. I mean, do you think it's a coincidence that everybody inside the pyramids is dead?
Hey,
No,
we have a pyramid
because-
here. There's lots of people in it.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it doesn't matter. Cubes are the better shape, more optimal,
I agree.
more perfect. Cubes in history have survived multiple events.
What?
I don't know what that means. I don't think he knew what that meant. I think that there's a little bit of collusion going on here between Apple and Anchor. Apple and Anchor.
What's Belkin done?
Don't worry about Belkin. You can forget about them. I think that there's like a little collusion going on, because they've put
You saying Belkin doesn't matter?
Wow.
I don't even.
Because they're getting out of the matter standard?
Yeah, but this is like,
Hey,
we are
hey.
7 stories
You
deep
didn't need to
now.
explain it. You didn't need to. Oh gosh.
I have a joke to make, and we're ruining my timing. So I think that there's some collusion between Anchor and Apple here, right? Because they want you to put your AirPods inside of the triangle, and I feel like if you put it inside of the triangle, the AirPods are just going to go, like, they're going to go missing. It's going to be unexplained.
Kate tells me in the Discord, Tichy pyramids were specifically funerary monuments. Yeah, exactly. Why do you think they put dead people inside a triangle shape?
Yeah, people
You're
are
not gonna
dying
blind
to get
people
in.
inside of a funerary monument. Also,
well,
just while we're
yeah.
in the Discord, Fisher Guy says the show notes this week are like more of a mind map, which is really good. And I feel like we should start making our show notes. They should just be mind maps, and we should just see where that takes us.
I have no idea
Freeform.
what any of this, where any chapter markers are going to go so far.
You should just make one chapter marker
Chaos.
and just be like, it's not possible, and then just leave it.
You know, I did that once. We did a show several years ago that I think it was like all breaking news. I did like 10 chapters that were all 10 seconds long, and it was a sentence like me apologizing for the lack of chapter markers. It was good. It was peak chapter marker humor.
Do you think people like that or not like that? Like, I expect people didn't like that. What do you think?
I don't, probably not.
Who could tell?
Big news.
Big news.
Automation April is back. Federico, what's going on?
It's coming back, second annual. Now, you've done the first annual, now the second annual. The Automation April event that we launched last year, as I promised, I wanted to make it a tradition, is coming back. And so for those who missed it last year, Automation April, it's a month-long event all about shortcuts automation.
The URL, man.
It's so long. This URL is 500 words long. MacStories.net/news/coming soon, the second annual Automation April community event featuring shortcuts, interviews, Discord, workshops, and a shortcut contest.
Jesus, it's the blog. You can literally go to Automation April.
I love this so much. This is the best URL.
This is a real John Voorhees move to not shorten it. Like I would have just been like Automation April 2023.
I never shorten the URLs either. I mean, look at my stories. I never do it.
I love this. This is so good.
I love making jokes in my slugs. It's always good.
Well, that's because you're a pro blogger. We're not.
Oh, they're all like this.
It's the default behavior of WordPress, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, look, don't ask me. I ain't no blogger.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just looks funny when it's pasted like that. Anyway.
Okay.
Automation April.
Coming back, there's going to be a contest. It's going to run a little shorter than last year, but you're still going to have a couple of weeks to make a shortcut and submit it. There's going to be a web app like last year at automationapril.com. You can use your existing club account or App Stories account, or if you're not a member, you can just create a free account just for this. Again, all like last year. A few tweaks to the categories of the contest. We are replacing the HomeKit category with the HealthKit one. If only because we realized it's much easier to make and share a HealthKit-based shortcut with other people than a HomeKit one. Because with HealthKit, the HealthKit actions in shortcuts, they adapt to my iPhone and my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
But if I don't have the same garage door as you, there's very little I can do with the shortcut.
You can come up with my
high
garage door.
barrier to entry on those shortcuts.
Exactly. So we are replacing the HealthKit category with the HomeKit category with the HealthKit one. There's a few updates in the lineup of judges for the Automation April contest. Notably, we are introducing the winner of the best overall shortcut from last year. Jack Wellborn is going to be a judge, graduating from winner last year to judge.
I like
this
that.
year. Yeah, thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Is that now a prize, or is that like not necessarily going to happen?
Well, it's a
Like, if you
perk.
win.
I like to think it's a perk.
If you win, you get the option to become.
You get the option, and mostly just Jack will be able to participate again next year. So I wanna prevent people from winning multiple years in a row.
Smart.
I just want to have a
okay.
little different takes on shortcuts automation.
Yeah, I like it.
And then we're gonna learn from last year. We're gonna do what worked and not do what didn't work. So you can expect articles on Mac Stories. I have a pretty sweet shortcut I'm working on. It's gonna be.
You're gonna try and win? Are you like entering the contest?
No, I'm a judge.
Can you
so
imagine?
I cannot enter the
The
contest.
winner this year is me.
Collusion.
Baby. I'm the best at
I
shortcuts.
won. I'm the best. There's gonna be articles on Mac Stories. There's gonna be shortcuts on Mac Stories Weekly. I'm gonna do. I really want to do like at least a couple of Automation Academy lessons for more advanced, like explanations of shortcuts. Special episodes of App Stories. We're gonna interview some people about shortcuts and sort of what changes in their automation setup. And we're gonna do again the workshops in Discord. Get together, take questions, like technical questions from people about shortcuts, and answer those questions. And maybe Jack will be able to join us there as well, or some other of our judges will need to. We'll have more details in terms of schedule and plans to share in the future, as well as details for the prizes for the contest. All of this is kicking off April 3rd. This is just a little teaser that we wanted to put out today, and there's lots more coming out soon. I have, like I said, some shortcuts that I've been working on, and some more technical explanations that I'm gonna save for the Club Plus and Premier members. But yeah, we're doing this again before WWDC. Fun little tradition, and I'm excited.
I love it, and it's a great time of year because the spring is like pretty quiet normally.
Nothing else is going. Yes.
Now, last year this did. When we made fun of you for it, it spread into May, and then I think.
It will again. It will again because we need a couple of weeks to adjudicate all of the different shortcuts. And people last year, they sent a lot of shortcuts.
Do you know how many you got last year? Are you willing to share if you remember?
Oh, I don't actually remember the full number. I want to say that it was hundreds. It was not 1,000, but it was like, oh gosh, am I getting this wrong? Am I making this up that it was like 700 or something? Did I make this up? I don't know. I probably made 10, this up.
Though.
I just assigned John the task to tell us. So
yes, perfect.
Yeah, it was. I can tell you, it was a lot of shortcuts, and we needed to sift through all of them. I also want to say,
John replied with a shrug. John
doesn't know. So
Not helpful.
John doesn't know. I also wanted to say that if you sent a shortcut last year and you didn't win in any category, and you sent it last year already, but over the past year, maybe you've tweaked the shortcut and you've changed the shortcut a little, you can send it again. Especially because, and I'm very aware of this, shortcuts hasn't changed a lot over the past year. There are some new actions, some new things you can do, but it's very likely that some of your more advanced shortcuts, you haven't been able to change them so much. So it's fine. As long as you didn't win in any existing category last year. Again, I don't want to have repeat winners, like the same shortcut winning over and over and over. I don't think that's useful to anybody. But if you sent it last year, you didn't win anything, hey, send it again. It's fine.
Real-time follow-up. According to macstories.net, you had over 200 shortcuts submitted.
Okay,
that's
good.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you're doing it again. And I know it's a lot of work, but it is so much fun. So thank you for doing it. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Electric. Turning a small business into an empire takes work. You have to keep your ear to the ground for things that help you take it to the next level. But this can be hard when your attention is pulled in different directions, because that's the reality of being a leader, being a boss. The team over at Electric knows small businesses, maybe like yours, face these challenges. That's why they've solved the problem for you by operating as your IT department. So instead of spending time sorting through unused app licenses, setting up employee laptops, and answering IT questions, you can focus on building your business. With Electric acting as your IT department, you can get back to what you're good at. Plus, you get a really cool IT platform to see and manage everything. Delegation is so important as a business owner. And when you're just starting out, you basically have to do everything yourself, right? But over time, as your team grows, as your business grows, you can bring in experts in different areas. And that's what Electric is. It fits right into your team and really takes that load off of you. So you can go do what you need to do. For Connected listeners, Electric is offering a free pair of Beat Solo 3 headphones for taking a qualified meeting. To sign up, just go to electric.ai/connected. That's electric.ai/connected. That's electric.ai/connected. Go there now for your free pair of Beat Solo 3 headphones today for scheduling a meeting. Our thanks to Electric for their support of the show and Relay FM. It is beyond mere iPhone rumor season. We are now in iPhone CAD leak season.
Nice.
My favorite leveling up of the rumors when we start to get images. And I know Myke and Jason have talked about this on Upgrade, and these stories have been kind of leaking out over the last couple of weeks. But I want to talk about them here in particular because of the mute switch. So amongst the rumors of the new iPhone, there are reports that those buttons on the side, on the left-hand side, so the mute ringer switch and the volume up and down, that those are going to really get their first big change in a long time. I mean, the ringer switch dates back to the original iPhone in 2007. It may be like the most stable part of the iPhone design ever. And
They even kept the orange.
And yeah, it's orange. And now some phones it's white. So
What?
instead of orange, it's white on some phones.
Huh.
If you have like some of the product red phones, and I think some of the 5Cs, like the red or the kind of red orange they use, the design of contrast. But
Some people would say that the amount of information that you have is useless. I would say it is not at all, because I did not know that. And I would hazard to say most people listening to this show just went, me, because nobody knows that except you. So thank you.
And so some of these rumors are that these phones are going to be capacitive, like touch sensitive buttons. Then there's like the pressing type mute button, which I think we've spoken about before, which is very hard to understand. Maybe it clicks in and stays there, then clicks back out. But Federico, I know this morning on Mastodon you were talking about the mute switch, and I wanted to see if you would unpack that here for us.
I was talking and the people attacked me.
Well, hang on. I think you shot first, to be fair.
That's a Star Trek reference.
But then I was attacked. But no, I wasn't. I just like to say the word attacked. I think it sounds cool.
He protect, he attack, you know?
So I have thoughts. I have strong opinions about this, okay? And I know that I am going to upset a portion of the listeners, including one of my co-hosts, I think. Okay. And I wanted to say and don't take this the wrong way. Take this in a very loving way. I don't care because it's my opinion.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like
you don't care if you upset people.
Someone tells you when someone tells you, "Well, I don't care." It's like I'm not being aggressive here. I'm just saying I don't care if you disagree with me because I firmly believe in my opinion. Okay, and I'm going to explain why my opinion is the best one.
There it is.
Okay.
See, no, you don't have to be like that, do you?
Well, I can, and I will.
No, no. I didn't say you can't be like that. I said you don't have to. Right? These are two different things.
Come on, this is what people want from this podcast, and you know it. It's like, oh no, let's just have a serious conversation here. No, it's opinions, okay? All right, so this idea, so we've been talking about this idea of Apple bringing a solid state button instead of the physical ringer switch to the iPhone for months. And there are people who have welcomed the idea, and there have been other people, like you to an extent, Michael, firmly rejecting this idea of...
Can you point to where I firmly rejected?
Well, on Upgrade, for example.
I didn't firmly reject. I've never firmly rejected.
Okay, well, maybe it's my impression. You have concerns, but I can tell you that there are other people on Mastodon and in the online places firmly rejecting the idea of the ringer switch going away. Okay, and I tend to see this argument develop over, across the online places of like, but if the ringer switch goes away, how will I be able to feel the mute switch in my pocket?
Yeah.
This is the single most absurd theory I've heard in a long time.
Theory of what?
This idea that a lot of people
like
feel the mute switch in their pockets.
Who said a lot of people?
Well, the people who firmly believe in this idea seem to, cooperate with one another and say, there's a lot of people like us. And...
there's literally dozens of us.
There are, exactly, you get my point. There are multiple layers to this. First is the feeling of the mute switch, and the other is, obviously, you're using a phone without a case. Because I would say that if you're able to quickly feel the ringer switch, is because your phone doesn't have a case on.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, it's easier when you don't have a case on, but when I used to wear a case, I used to be able to feel it.
Please tell me with the Apple leather case, for example.
I've never used those. I use the silicone case.
Well, see? So, I just feel like
silicone
most people would find it challenging to feel this. But there's two layers to this.
Well, and the Apple cases are just like one type. A lot of people use cases that are much bulkier
exactly
than the Apple ones.
or cheaper than the Apple ones. So first of all, and I said it before, this idea of use my phone without a case. This is by and large. I'm just gonna read straight from my notes. This is a rich nerd delusion.
This is why. What does that mean?
Because most people who spend a lot of money on a phone, they want to put it immediately in a case.
Okay.
This idea that, Apple carries my case. No.
That's not, I don't even have Apple Care.
Okay, so you just
Apple
like
Care's,
to live
Apple
dangerously.
Care's a scam. I've never broken an iPhone. Except the one that
good
I,
for you.
quote unquote, dropped to get the screen replaced.
Yeah, what's that like?
But would you agree that most people they take the phone and they put it in the case right away?
Definitely, because I used to be that person. But like to go back to what you were saying before, I was that person and I could still use it because I used the silicone case because I'm not made of money and buying the leather cases.
Would
like
you believe that you are one of the few that do this?
Oh, 100%. I don't think this is
good. All right, cool. So we
like,
are in agreement.
this is when I'm saying like the thing that I'm concerned about is you won't be able to feel the thing. It's like that's just a thing that I do, so like it will bother me. I don't think everyone's doing what I'm doing, which is like it's that you go into the theater and they're like make sure your phone's on silent, and I can just like reach into my pocket and check.
Okay, but let's get to the second layer of this, ringer switch onion. This idea that you just feel the mute switch.
Yeah.
This is where I'm getting stuck upon.
Right.
I would say that 90% of people in my life, you know what? I'm actually going to say 99% of people in my life that I know in real life, everybody I know, rightfully so, keeps their phone silent.
Yes. That's the only thing you should do.
You don't want to be the guy with, why, if you don't have silent mode on, and again, there are exceptions, I can understand why, for example, an elder relative needs to have, don't
ground down by the opinions of the internet.
I am just, statistically speaking, most people should keep their phone silent because especially let's make it even more precise, especially the people who listen to this podcast.
There you go.
I would wager they have their phone silent because they have AirPods, because they have an Apple Watch, because they have an iPhone with the haptic feedback thing. They can feel that the phone is ringing.
We all get so many notifications. Like who wants their phone just like going like bah, 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 all day,
exactly. How often do most people really need to dig in there in their pocket and be like, let me check the mute switch? Like, who is doing this? Who is doing? Okay, Myke, why are you doing this?
I just said it, right? You go to the theater or something, right? Or you go to a movie and they're like, make sure your phone's on silent, and I just reach in and I can just do it. I could just do it by feel.
All right, cool. Let me ask you. You do this because it's been available for a long time, forever on the phone. You gotten used to it. It's okay.
Yep.
Don't you think it's a little bit of a waste of physical space on an iPhone to have a switch that you and few others at the theater they feel, whereas the vast majority of people keep their phones silent all the time and are at this point maybe just used to doing a software-based check-in with silent mode like they do on the iPad, like they do on Apple Watch?
Oh, I 100% would prefer there to be no switch at all, and my phone could just always be in silent. Like, I'm not arguing I'm not arguing that there's a switch. I'm arguing that what they are rumored to be replacing it with is worse.
Let me ask you, are you sure that in this argument, deep down, you don't already agree with me?
About what?
Deep down, you're in love with him.
No, that's obvious.
You know, this is actually a strategy that I employ.
What I agree. What I'm agreeing with the point that you're making right now, which is like having a mute switch at all is not necessary. Like, I personally would prefer there to be No switch, no button, nothing. And if I want to turn my phone into loud mode, I just go to control center. Like, that's what I would prefer.
Okay, good. All right, cool.
But I don't like this idea of, like, if you're going to have one, what they're rumored to be replacing it with, which is a capacitive button that has haptic feedback, is worse in every possible way than what is currently on the phone.
Well, have you tried it?
But I can here's what I know what's going to happen, right? So here's my thing.
Yeah.
They're going to say to me, like, I'm in somewhere, so like, please make sure your phone is on silent, right? So I'm gonna want to check that. So like, I'll press the button, and then like now I've turned it onto loud mode, and I have to press it again to silence it. Like, I just don't like this. It's, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of two things: USB-A and AirPods Pro 2, right? So, you know, like that old idea that every time you want to plug a USB into a port, you have to do it twice, once and then again, or like 2 or 3 times because you always get it wrong. I've been noticing this recently with AirPods Pro 2, where I'm in the street and I'm like, because the adaptive transparency is so good now that sometimes I think I have noise cancellation on. And the only way to check that is to do the thing, and then I turn noise cancellation on.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Back to transparency.
All right,
Yeah.
so let me tell you why your concerns are misplaced.
Okay.
And why in 2 minutes you're gonna be in agreement with me.
If you're going to tell me I have to look at my phone, like,
Yes.
that's fine, but then there's no point putting the button. That's what I'm saying. If I have to look at the screen of my phone to see if I'm on silent mode, don't put the button
Let
there.
me explain. I think so far we have assumed that this replacement for this ringer switch is going to be a ringer switch. I think there's a much better opportunity for Apple here to take that physical space up there in the upper left corner of the iPhone and do something much more interesting with it. I want to believe, and you know, I'm pretty convinced actually, that Apple realized, look, we have this space here and people are used to reach out to this button here. But most people, we have discovered, 15 years, whatever, into the iPhone's existence, that most people keep their phone silent anyway. Like, that's just modern life and how it is, and modern social etiquette, whatever. I think there's a much better opportunity for Apple here to do a couple of things. First of all, to communicate in a couple of different ways whether silent mode is on or off. You could consider a control center widget tile thing, or even, for those more preoccupied than most people, whether it's on or off, a status bar icon. Like, I could imagine a little status bar indicator that tells you, hey, silent mode is actually off. Your phone is going to make a sound. So they can consider control center or even a status bar icon. But I think there's a lot of potential here for a brand new type of button on the iPhone. Think of it like, it's like the action button on the Apple Watch Ultra. There is a programmable button that you can use to save time on your phone to do whatever, asterisk, you want to do with that button. The asterisk being whatever within, certain types of actions that Apple has pre-programmed for you. So, for example, imagine if you could press the button for immediate flashlight, press the button to open a messages conversation, press the button for Siri. Well, no, Siri is already on the other button. Press the button for a shortcut, press the button for a camera. Like, imagine all the different things you could do with it. Imagine if it sounds lovely. And the other thing I want to mention is, by making silent mode, rather than being tied to a physical switch, if they are going to go the software way with it, it becomes a lot more useful and a lot more flexible when you consider how focus modes and shortcuts could integrate with it. Now you would be able to have a focus mode where your phone actually makes sounds in certain situations, but where you must absolutely hear if someone is calling you. And the opposite is also true. You could also turn it off with a shortcut or with a focus mode. So I think the change I want to see, it's not just, we redid the physical switch, which, by the way, I would still welcome if it's still a physical switch, if it's only for the ringer switch, because I find the current design, and I have always found the current design impossible to operate with the case on. I'm trying now with my finger, and I just cannot toggle it.
Yep.
I just cannot do it.
Interesting.
But second, I want to hope that they actually go beyond this and that their thinking is, well, let's actually do something a little more useful and fun with that spot. We're gonna do brand new buttons, and we're gonna let people choose what to do with it.
Be very nice if that was the case.
I told you.
I will say, though, I had a thought today, right? So these are, in theory, you're going to get 3 capacitive buttons, right, on the phone. Cases are going to be worse. They're going to have 3 cutouts, right? If it's capacitive, it needs to know that your finger's touching it to operate. So you're going to have cases that are going to be full of cutouts.
You know, we'll get used to that. We get used to many things in life. It won't kill you to have 2 more cutouts, you know.
It depends,
whatever.
I suppose.
I mean, it won't kill you
I would
because
like
you don't
to
use a
believe
case.
that it will be better. I hope it will be, which is why I'm not like against it. Like I'm willing to see what they've got. Like, but I think the thing that I've had of like just being able to reach into my pocket and tell that my phone is easily on silent, I think that will just have to change. But I would be willing to give that up if I could have more software control over what is like what makes noise and what doesn't. That would be cool.
I think it's super interesting. They could go a bunch of different ways, and the fact that it has been the same for so long, like it's just really wild to think about. And I think if we look at the iPhone, was it the 7 that was the first with the capacitive home button? I think it was.
Yes.
You know, that is an interesting example because it was a physical switch that then was capacitive, and they did the Taptic engine and stuff. And that didn't last very long, right? Because it was the 7, the 8, and then we went to the 10. But I think they did a pretty good job with that. I mean, it was a little weird to get used to, but I think, you know, it did the job, and it was, I think, a lot more robust than the previous home buttons. I mean, I think everyone at some point or another had experienced a home button failure on an iPhone before that. So they can do it. It's just going to be interesting to see what they do. It also reminds me of the iPad. For a while, the first several iterations, the iPad had a switch on the side, and you could use it for either orientation lock, which is how I used it, or mute ringer. And it, you know, I don't think orientation locks matters nearly as much on the phone as it does on the iPad, but there is some precedence for Apple having a switch and then having software to like tell the switch what to do.
Nice,
and so,
good memory.
Yeah, so I am hopeful that we do get some more customization like you're talking about, Federico. I think it'd be really interesting, and the Apple Watch Ultra is right there, and, you know, action button it up. That's what I say.
I'm not going to like when I can't change the volume of my iPhone just by, like, pressing the buttons through my jeans or whatever, though. That's going to be annoying, too. Like, you have to physically touch the button, right, to change the volume.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and maybe there'll be issues with, like, gloves and other stuff. We just don't know yet.
And there will
we'll
be,
just have to see.
For sure, yeah, with gloves. So.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I think a lot of people, including me, like, even my, like, pretty good winter gloves have, you know, the index fingers have, like, capacitive material sewn on now.
Yeah, so. I don't have that. I don't like the way that looks.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's like very ET, like a weird little pad on your finger or something.
ET, iPhone home. This episode of Connected is brought to you by ZocDoc. When someone is exceptionally good at what they do, could be a waiter, a chef, a doctor, a podcaster, you know you're in good hands. It's like seeing a waiter balance 5 trays of sizzling fajitas on one arm. I didn't write this copy, but I love Mexican food, and so, like, I'm here for it.
Would you eat 5 trays of sizzling fajitas?
No, I would be in the hospital. Like, that's so much food. That's so much
that's
food.
A family order. That's probably. You might need ZocDoc if you ate 5 plates of sizzling fajitas.
You tied it in, because with ZocDoc, you can find the right doctor in a seamless fashion. The quality care you're after is just a few taps away in the ZocDoc app. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient reviewed, take your insurance, available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. It's so important to find a doctor that you trust, that you jive with, that you feel like you communicate openly with. And, you know, I've changed doctors a few times over the years, and it's hard. It's hard to find that right person. And so with ZocDoc, you're going in with all this information in the app with other patients' comments, and it really makes the process much easier. When you're not feeling your best and just trying to hold it together, finding great care shouldn't take up all of your energy. ZocDoc's free app is used by millions of people. You can use it to find the right doctor that meets your needs and fits your schedule. You can book an appointment with a few taps in the app and start feeling better soon. Go to ZocDoc.com/connected to download the ZocDoc app for free. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/connected. Then you can find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. Once again, that's ZocDoc.com/connected. Our thanks to ZocDoc for the support of the show and Relay FM.
Have you guys heard of artificial intelligence? Have you come across this before?
I think is it the thing that they use in video games so that the Goombas can kill you?
Yes. So artificial intelligence was created by Shigeru Miyamoto in 19...
Right. Yeah. I'm familiar. Yes.
So Stephen, I think, put this in the document.
I have felt like the AI things we have out there, like everything from Midjourney to Chat GPT, everything in between, they're interesting. Obviously, with Bing, they've been productized. But Microsoft has announced Microsoft 365 Copilot. Copilot, you may recognize, that's branding from GitHub, which Microsoft owns.
Yep.
Where their AI can like help you write code. And some people love it, some people hate it. That's not the debate today. But they're bringing like features to Microsoft 365. And this means that when you are in an Office application, so say that you are in Word or you're in Excel or PowerPoint, or their new Notion competitor kind of is actually in beta, I think, as of today.
I did not know that was a thing that they did, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I want to play with it. But they're bringing this into their apps. And you may think, if you're of a certain age, Steven, this sounds like Clippy. It looks like you're trying to write a letter. Let me help you. Hopefully it's better than that, but it's very similar.
What if Clippy had a brain?
Yeah, exactly. What if Clippy was powered by thousands of GPUs in the cloud? And so you can use within the applications these tools to complete certain tasks. And
oh my God, this is just Notion.
Yeah, it's literally Notion. Yes, it's literally Notion.
They just made Notion, man.
Yeah.
Microsoft are relentless right
they
now.
are ruthless, yes.
It's interesting. I kind of like it in a way, kind of don't like it in other ways, but like it is fascinating to watch. And it's just like, who would have thought? I'm sorry, I'm stepping on your topic right now.
No, you're good.
But like, who would have thought that we'd be back here again, where Microsoft are like dangerous? You know, it's just like they have all of it. You know, like they are ready to go, and they're gonna gobble all the competition.
Yeah. And as Kate points out, Notion has AI features too. It's in a lot of places now.
Yeah, but it kind of doesn't matter, right? Like this is the Microsoft thing right now. It's like why Teams has destroyed Slack. It doesn't matter that employees, it doesn't matter that other apps have it. The issue is Microsoft come in and say, well, you're already paying for this, so like we can give it for free or basically free. So like it doesn't matter what their competitors have. Like Microsoft are able to take up so much ground right now because business runs on Office anyway.
Yes.
And so it's like if they even have a mildly good version of it, it's going to be better for your business than if you use whatever, right? So like that's what they're doing, and it's genius.
Yeah, and so we have a collection of links in the show notes. You can go and read through them. It's about some of the things that this can do. So you can do sort of the, hey, I need a letter that says this in this style, and it will put something together. But you can also give Copilot documents or access to documents, and it will summarize them. It can be present on a Teams meeting and give you notes from the meeting, like all sorts of stuff. And it's a very small program right now. Like I don't think anyone just has access to it yet, but it's going to be coming. And it's interesting to me because it's Microsoft, and like you said, Microsoft is like eating its Wheaties all of a sudden. It's like ready to go. But this is where I think a lot of sort of regular people who don't listen to tech podcasts, who just have, regular jobs that they use Office all day, every day, it's going to be their first experience with some of this technology. And that feels like a really big deal to me. It feels like, okay, and Bing was sort of step one of this, but Bing is really small. So, Office, I think, is much bigger. This is where like people are just going to come across this during their day and use it. And they may not fully understand what it can or can't do or what it is or isn't good at. I think that will have to be shaken out within organizations over time. Like there will be organizations. I got a handful of emails from various people like, yeah, I'm sure you saw this. We will not be turning this on in our organization, right? Because they don't want Copilot to have access to their data or whatever. So there's lots of complications here. But it seems like a really big deal that this is going to be baked into Office. And it does kind of lead to the question, because Google Docs has the basic things as well. Although if you've played with any of Google's or like watched the video on Bard, like clearly they're behind OpenAI and Microsoft. But do we need this in numbers and pages of Keynote too? Is this something that, makes Office more attractive to y'all? I kind of want to get the temperature on it.
I think the Apple discussion is actually maybe a discussion we should have separately at some point in the future. But like the answer is probably yes. The answer is yes, right? Like all of their competitors will be adding these features. Apple have to find a way to do it in a way that makes sense for them. But like this Copilot thing in Office is the first AI tool that I have been excited about, interested in, and makes sense to me.
Yep.
Because what Cortex listeners have heard me talk about this before. I've spoke about other shows too, right? Like what I don't like about some of the stuff that exists out there currently is it is just using a model which is generated from other people's work and like people just like, oh, make me this thing, and it's just like makes a thing, right? Like show me an image of Steve Jobs in space. It's like somebody could draw that, and like instead you've just asked this thing to just spit it out, and it's just like creating this new work based on other people's work, where a lot of the features that we're seeing in Copilot, it's like using the system, which yes has been pulled from text, but I think text on the web is slightly different when so much of it's about SEO anyway, but that's a whole different conversation. Like this kind of stuff is like taking my work and using this tool to make it something else. Like here's a presentation I have, make a PowerPoint for me. It's like, this is all, I'm in the loop here 100%, right? Or like, here's my spreadsheet, can you organize this into some charts and stuff? Mm-hmm. It's like just taking out the work where I was otherwise going to need to be like Googling to get the formulas when I don't understand how to use them. Like this to me makes a lot of sense for the kinds of things that I want to be doing. And it also has, I think, significantly to somewhat less of the ethical concerns that I have around where this information comes from and what it's replacing.
Yes, I feel the same way. Yes.
Yeah, because in a way it has a fence around it, right? It's like, okay, I want you to look at these documents and synthesize something new out of them. We've all passed examples around on Mastodon and Discord and Slack of like, look at this wildly inaccurate thing that ChatGPT said, right? Or now Bard, because Bard makes ChatGPT look like a Rhodes Scholar. But I think you're right that this is like different, and I think it's exciting. I do think that there is, there's potential fallout, and I think there's potential concern in a lot of organizations about what it will do, and are people going to be replaced by this robot or something? And I don't know any of the answers to that. I'm not smart enough to know any of that, but I do think this is like a fundamental shift where, like, basically the world runs on Office, and once this is widely available in organizations, it is a change. And I think for me, up until this point, it's been part of my thinking on the AI tools that we have. I kind of been like, well, this is like a fad. Like this is like the new chatbot, right? And or the new whatever. We've been in this industry long enough. We've seen fad technology come and go. And it's like, okay, Microsoft entering the ring is really interesting. Making it a feature of Office 365, that's a lot harder to unwind than, we made this like weird web tool and then it just goes away one day because it's not fashionable anymore. Like this is a bigger commitment than anything we've seen from any of these companies so far. And it's and that makes me kind of step back and think like, okay, this is more important than maybe I felt like it was up until now. Does that make sense? Does that track?
Yeah, and I think it's especially if you're someone else, if you're Apple, and maybe we should save the discussion for another time. But I think it's especially scary when you consider how they're bringing this all together. Like it's not just like individually Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, but it's like Outlook is gonna have all of this. Outlook Mobile is gonna have all of this, and they've sort of been on this mission for the past 2 years or so to reinvent like the very structure of the Office ecosystem so that everything is going to be based on components. And all of these components are going to come together into the Notion copycat immediately that they made, Loop, which is in beta preview today. But I think like you look at it today and it looks like a Notion copy, doesn't have an API, not nearly as flexible as Notion, but it's scary when you consider that Loop is tying together apps and services that hundreds of millions, billions of users rely on. So you can...
Anyone in professional work is using Office. At least somehow, right?
Even people like me and Myke have Office installed because we get sent Word documents we have to deal with, right? And like...
we all do.
Everybody does. And it's like, you're saying about the API, Federico, it doesn't need an API because it just pulls from Office.
Exactly.
Right? Like, why does it need an API? Like, that's what they're saying. Like, that's what they would say. And I agree with them. Like, for their strategy of like, no, don't use a different whatever app, just use our one.
And and Adam from the Discord saying OpenDoc finally realized in many ways, yes, this is actually the vision of like, what if everything was based on components and you can mix and match these components into this sort of amorphous type of document that is not a document, but also is a live document with multiple components from other places. Yes, that's exactly the idea. But on top of this, when you consider how they're touching upon email with Outlook, and personal to-dos with Microsoft To Do is going to be compatible with this. Like, I think they've actually built they are building a very compelling ecosystem for big companies, but also like small to medium businesses. I think this is going to be very compelling as a strategy to be like, okay, I guess we can have to-dos and we can have projects and we can have Loop and Office and email going into Outlook and everything comes together and then we can chat in Teams. And there's AI to help make sense of all of this along the way.
Yep. Copilot's there to just help you out all the time. Like, it's like, to touch on something you were saying a moment ago, Stephen, about like the fad nature of it. Like, I understand that feeling, but at the same time, I feel like right now we are. I mean, this is not an original thought at all, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Like, we are living in a truly unprecedented time in technology. Like, the speed at which these AI tools are improving. I can't think of any technology that was introduced and then improved so dramatically in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
Like, it's obscene how big a leap that it was jumped in less than 6 months. Like, it's like an unbelievable thing. Like, it's really wild. And I also wanted to share with you both. I had lunch with a friend yesterday. We talk about this stuff like everyone is now, right? You have any kind of anybody in technology, everyone's just talking about this stuff. I had a realization that I think if you guys agree with me, you will be equally as uncomfortable with. Because of these tools, right? Like, realistic text can be generated so easily. I'm sure that you both, like me, get lots of not spam email, but like that middle ground email where it's like, hey, here's a pitch. Hey, here's a thing. Hey, here's a thing. I think within 5 years, I will not be able to use email anymore because when people hook these bots up to email,
it's game over.
It's impossible. I won't be able to open my email inbox. Yeah. I will be getting hundreds of emails a day that will look real.
The worst ones that I get right now is like, it looks like it's a threaded reply. And so SameBox, which is a sponsor of some other stuff I do, like SameBox misses it because it's like, read the phone call we had last week. And like they do like fake threading in the email and it's wild.
I just got one. literally just got one. Hey, Connected. My name's Dan. I'm a tech founder in the podcasting space. I'm trying to make a real impact in how podcasters could land higher quality brand deals. Like, I get this stuff constantly, and at the point where these two things can happen of one, you can have AI writing them, and then two, AI learning the ways to break through to my inbox.
Our email interactions in the future are going to be like the Rorschach test from the first scene in Blade Runner. We're going to need to evaluate whether the incoming message is from an AI bot or from a real person.
Yeah, genuinely, I just don't think that I will be able to use email anymore. I think I'll have to do something else. Like,
there's going to be services that are going to scan your inbox for messages that were sent to you from other AIs.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I could see that, but I also just don't think it's going to work. Like,
probably not.
As Stephen just said, like, we all use a tool, right, which finds this stuff and gets rid of it, but then people trick it until they it's like a cat and mouse game, right?
Yeah.
So eventually these tools learn to realize these things, but then you just do something else. So like, I just don't think that it's going to be. I think the open nature of email will crumble to this kind of technology.
We'll see. I mean, there's so many knock-on effects from
it's touching everything.
Yeah, and like, I don't think anyone. I mean, I think I speak for all three of us. None of us are experts in this field, but I think even if you are an expert in this field, this is new territory, and it's just accelerating, like you said, Myke, really, really pretty quickly.
So I've decided also that I'm giving into it now. Like, I'm now trying to find the things that I find interesting, because like, I can't just keep resisting this forever because this is technology now. So like, I'm trying to open myself up to this, and like, I'm now like, all right, so I found one thing that I find interesting, which is Copilot. So there can be interesting things to me here. Now I've just got to find more of them.
I started paying for ChatGPT Plus.
What do you use it for?
It's excellent for editing or like grammar checking, for example.
Okay.
You see, it's what you were saying about like, this is my content and I'm using AI to do something helpful that my human brain cannot do.
Yeah.
But I don't feel sort of, well, it's always based...
You're not saying, hey, GPT-4, write me an article to introduce automation
it's
April.
the creation aspect that I'm uncomfortable with. Now, now, technically speaking, the editing aspect is also powered by text that was lifted by, other people's text, but it's the illusion that you're not breaking, with your own content, I think. So, yeah, I'm giving into it now because there's like what you just said, like, what's the point? This is our life now. So you either get on with the times or... I mean, you can, or not, but you're gonna...
I could choose to be like grumpy about this forever if I want to, but I just don't. You know me, I just don't like to be that way.
Plenty of blogs and podcasts by grumpy people. Yes.
And so I'm just like, I'm trying to find the things that are interesting to me that I feel are less like ethically grey, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking the other day, right? That Whisper model, we're definitely all in there. Like 100%. Like, they trained that on podcasts. Like, that's where they got that.
I mean, I can tell you that I gave it the whole catalog of app stories personally. So
no, but like the model before you even tried it, like I don't know if the information you give to it trains the model further. Like, I don't know the answers to that. But like the model that they made, that OpenAI made, 100% they used every single podcast they could get their hands on. Because why not? It's like free and available content. It's like easy.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by SetApp. With all the excellent tools available to us now, looking for something new to improve the way we work can feel like drowning in an ocean of different apps and services. That is dark, but that's how it feels. There's a lot of stuff on the market, and not all of them are worth your time and money. And what's more, many of us are paying for apps and services that we never properly integrated into our workflows. So how do you know which apps are worth trying without emptying your wallet on subscriptions that you might forget to cancel in the future? The answer, my friends, is SetApp, a platform that combines more than 230 powerful macOS and iOS apps and tools, all under one $9.99 subscription. Their selection of apps is super helpful for people who use their Mac to get their work done, covering complete use cases like coding, designing, project, time management, and more. Once subscribed, you get full access to all the paid features of these apps, as well as new apps that are constantly being added to the library. So you'll always be sure that you're not missing out on anything that can actually help you get your work done more efficiently, all for just a fraction of the price. SetApp is a smart way to get apps for people who create value with the help of their Apple devices. It takes away the pain of looking up, comparing, buying, and managing separate apps and all the license keys and all that stuff that goes along with it. SetApp partners with some of the world's best developers to handpick the most trustworthy and advanced paid apps for SetApp. SetApp is awesome if you, like the ad says, if you're using your Mac at work and you're looking for that tool to improve your workflow, to make things more efficient. Instead of spending a bunch of time on a bunch of websites or Googling things randomly, the SetApp team has done all the work to curate an amazing collection. And that's really what I love about it. SetApp even makes sure to remove outdated tools to keep their collection up to date with the best software around. If you have a complex task to solve, you can delve into their app collections. And for peace of mind, every app is updated automatically with no annoying ads to distract you, and you can install and uninstall apps with a single click. Check out SetApp today by trying it out for 7 days for free. Go to stpp.co/connected. That link is in the show notes, but it's stpp.co/connected to try it completely free for 7 days. SetApp powers you up. Our thanks to SetApp for their support of the show and Relay FM. It is time, my friends, for something I'm calling picking an heir to the throne.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going anywhere, but you never know.
What is happening?
What are we talking about? Are you dying?
I don't think so. But, I feel like I've taken on the mantle of Apple historian.
Oh.
And I want to know which of the two of you would be an heir once I retire or ChatGPT comes for me or whatever.
Are you trying to do a quiz but not call it a quiz?
Yes. Turns out quiz was trademarked.
Oh my God.
And so I couldn't do it. So I have 10 questions.
This is intellectual property theft.
I have 10 questions.
Not again. Not from you.
This is IP theft.
10 questions.
Hang on a second. Now.
I'm gonna need more wine.
No, I want to
Wait,
test.
have you been drinking?
Yeah, he started drinking wine. It's like a whole thing. I want to potentially put something interesting into this. This is about trust.
Oh God, you're gonna put points into this.
I want to see if Stephen has trust in me. We can put this into the quizzes, and I play for you.
Oh.
But you got to trust me.
I did not deserve a quiz today.
Nobody does.
I think we keep it separate, but that is very interesting.
See, he doesn't trust me. I wanted to see if he trusts me. Let's see if he learns to regret this.
Well, I feel like that could be construed as like me and you ganging up on Federico, which this is not.
But I had no idea. I think we all know this wasn't happening.
It's all collusion.
Yeah, but the ganging up could go in the other way, though, because I could also do really bad to tank your score.
That's true.
But
That's
never
true.
mind.
Okay,
I
so
put it out there.
how this works. There's 10 questions. I'm going to award a point for whoever is closest. Okay. Because some of these are extremely specific. And then there is a bonus round. There's enough points available in the bonus round that it's all up for grabs. So
I hate games like that. No, don't do that.
question.
I hate games like that when it's like the whole point of doing the quiz doesn't make any point because you just get the last question. This is how you beat me in the last Founders quiz, and I continue to find it as a disrespect from Kathy to me.
Wow. Well, I mean, we all know what part of the organization Kathy's in. So
Exactly. So collusion.
So you will get a point for whoever is closest. No half points or anything. And then the bonus round, which we'll get to, you could do pretty poorly in the main quiz and walk away with it if you do well in the bonus round. So 10 questions. Okay. They are, this time, all hardware related.
And how are we doing this? Because you asked us to have a pen and paper. So like
That's for the bonus round.
Oh, okay.
So there is an inherent trustworthiness in these quizzes that say that I ask a question and Federico answers it first. Myke, you could change your answer based on what Federico said. Now I'm going to alternate between the two of you to help balance that out, but there is a level of trust.
I think at this point we all understand how podcast quizzes work. You know what I mean?
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Federico, you were up first. You, of course, will both get to answer, but you get to answer first on this one. What year was the Intel transition announced?
2003.
Okay, Myke?
2006.
It is 2005. So Myke gets the point.
I got an Intel iMac for my 18th birthday, so that was how I tried to rough that one out.
I will have proof URLs in the show notes. So
There are no consequences for losing this game, right?
the loser
besides
is
shame.
It's
Okay.
eternal shame.
No, I think there's a reverse, right? Because he said it was the, what did you call it? The heir to the throne?
Uh-huh.
So the winner inherits Steven's backup Devon thing, I guess.
Cool. Yeah.
Right?
So
it's all yours.
hope you got a
man.
big SSD handy. All right. So Myke gets the point there. Myke, you are first on the next question. Name the first two Macs to use Intel processors.
iMac and MacBook.
Okay, I'm gonna go with iMac and MacBook too.
So y'all are equally wrong. It's the iMac and the MacBook Pro.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna call that a draw. No points awarded. Question number 3. Federico, you're up first. What does BYODKM mean?
Yeah, please remind me the acronym again. Bring your own. What are the other letters?
DKM.
Display, keyboard, and mouse.
Yeah. Bring your own display keyboard and mouse.
Very good. I came across a blog post that's titled "To BYODKM or Not to BYODKM," which
That's good.
made me laugh.
That's good.
Mike, what was the shortest-lived iPad model, and how long was it on sale?
Oh my God. I know which one it was, right? Like I can tell you things about it, but you know what I like?
Yeah.
But what was its model? It was iPad.
What is the question? What year was it?
What was the shortest-lived iPad model, and how long was it on sale?
I'm going to say iPad for 6 months.
Okay.
I think it was the third generation iPad that was replaced by the iPad 4. And it was on sale for about, I want to say 6 to 7 months.
Okay, I'm going to give it to Federico. It is the third generation iPad. Apple called it the new iPad. It was the first Retina one.
Yeah.
It was announced 7 months after it went on sale, its replacement, and then it was replaced after 8 months. So 8 months on the market.
See, I thought the one that came after was called the new iPad. So the one that they got rid of was called the new iPad?
The new iPad was the third one, which was replaced by the Lightning version of it, which is the iPad 4.
And had a better GPU.
That was the thing I knew, is that it had the 30 pin and it was replaced by the Lightning one.
Yeah, that was a weird time. It was really weird.
Very strange. Yeah. And I'm so happy they stopped calling it the new iPad.
So bad.
That was just the worst name.
So bad. All right, you each have 2 points. You all are doing well. Federico, you're up first. How many models of Macintosh Performa did Apple sell in total?
Are you asking like unit sales or model numbers?
How many discrete models?
Okay.
Yes, good clarification. Thank you.
Performa models, like they were called Performa in the name.
Yes.
I don't know. 6.
This is closest wins?
Yep.
25.
The correct answer is 70.
Yeah, okay. Cool. I really wanted to say 60, but I just figured I knew it was loads, so I wanted to, but I didn't know how many, so when he went so low.
Wow.
70 according to every Mac. I looked at a couple different sources. I saw it on every Mac, so 70.
That was a stupid time.
It really was. It was so dumb. That link is in the show notes. People can go look at. It's
like how many years were they selling those for?
let me see. I mean, like off the top of my head, like 6 or 7 years. Maybe not even that long.
So they did like 10 devices a year.
1992 through 1997, so 5 years. Yeah. And that is inflated a little bit because if it came with like a bigger hard drive, it got a different model number, but that was the literal problem. So 70 total. Michael, the Macintosh 2FX could run you as much as $10,969 when it was new in 1990. How much is that in today's dollars?
How much was it? 10,000?
10,969.
In 1990.
Yep, it was a nice time.
Yep, $22,000.
How much is it again?
$10,969 in 1990.
I'm gonna go with 31.
31. Y'all basically split it, but Mike's a little bit closer. It's $25,248 today.
Oh, man. When I said it, I thought I went too high, like way too high.
Well, if you look at like the inflation history chart, a couple of years ago, you'd have been too high, but very expensive computer. Can
Thanks,
you imagine
macroeconomic headwinds?
Can you imagine a $25,000 Mac? Like you could just buy off the shelf, not even like that was like a base spec you could order and then go.
That was the starting price?
Yeah, you could add on like extra memory and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So much money.
Man, and we complain now.
So much money. All right, so that goes to Myke. Federico,
What's the score?
The score is Myke has 4, Federico has 2.
Okay.
But we got a long way to go. So, Federico, how much did the original MacBook Air weigh? And is it more or less than the current M2 MacBook Air?
Less than a pound, and it's less than today's model.
I'll also say less than a pound because I have no idea, and more than today's model.
Okay, so Federico wins. It was 3 pounds. The M2 weighs 2.7, so it was slightly more than the Air. Y'all are both off, but Federico's less wrong. So
okay,
Federico gets it.
Wait, how do we define less wrong?
He said
point.
I feel like we had a question earlier where we were split like that, but hey, I'm gonna let you go with it.
I mean,
You're the quizmaster.
The crown is going to
You're
do
the
what it does.
quizmaster.
When run on 4 AAA batteries, what was the expected battery life on the original Newton?
8 hours. No, that doesn't make sense. Wait, can you define that? What does that mean, battery life?
Screen. I believe from what I read, we're talking about screen on time.
15 hours.
Okay.
I feel like that's so wrong. But I have no idea.
I'm gonna say 3 hours.
Myke gets it. 14
What?
hours.
Wow.
Wow, Newton, good job.
Also, though, that thing chewed through batteries.
I know.
Like, that's the problem, right?
4 AAA batteries.
You would need 4 batteries at least every 5 days?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
They had a
That is
rechargeable
wild.
option, but it was even worse.
Still better than a Sega Game Gear. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, think about the time, right? Eventually, they did get better, but yeah, I was shocked that it was only 14 hours.
I guess it was like you had to just use rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, right? So
If they even had them. I mean, the Apple had a battery pack you could do, or you could use the AAAs.
Oh, they were AAA.
AAA. Yeah, the little ones. Federico,
yeah.
what is the only Mac that isn't made anymore, but was never canceled?
Cancelled as in popular culture. Cancelled.
However you want to interpret the question.
That is
It had some bad takes on Twitter and was canceled.
a Mac that is no longer for sale, but it was never officially cancelled,
Correct.
and it's the only.
The only.
Well, it's the trash can Mac Pro.
Michael?
MacBook?
The G4 Cube. Apple's press release said it was put on ice.
I knew this. As soon as you said it, I remember the 20 Max episode.
I honestly thought you were both going to get it because I know Federico and I share a love for the Cube. So,
Yeah, but I don't share that love.
no.
That's annoying. That's
That
really
is
annoying.
called PR didn't want Steve Jobs to get mad at them. So they just put it on ice instead. So with one question left, Myke has 5 and Federico has 3
Not that literally any of it matters.
because the bonus round is coming. Myke, you're up first. How many discrete models of iPhone have there been? Now, I am not counting color or storage capacity. So, for instance, the iPhone is a model, the iPhone 3G is a model. So, how many of those have there been?
19.
Federico?
Wait, you're asking like generations? Or are you also saying like Pro Max? What's the
Pro and Pro Max would be 2 models.
Oh.
Whoa.
Can I
Yes. I should have been more clear. Yes, you can
Okay,
re-guess.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is my first time. I'm a first-time quizzer.
It's complicated, right? Like,
Yes.
Question forming is really hard. Okay, so how many models of iPhone have there been, not including colors and storage? Everything else is on the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
29.
Okay.
35.
Federico gets it almost exactly right. There have been 38.
Woo! That's a lot of iPhones.
Yeah, that number was way higher than I thought.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I got another chance
Yes.
at that at least.
So, at the end of the regular quiz, Myke has 5 and Federico has 4. So, very close. Y'all both have done well. So, now I believe you each have something to write or type into.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there a preference for you there?
No, I just don't want y'all. I want you to do your thinking quietly for this one, and then we will give our answers.
That's really good for a podcast.
Well, I'm going to play hold music.
Excellent.
I've already thought about this. It won't be in real time. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write down as many iMac G3 colors as you can. And I will count us in. Hey, Siri, start a 30-second timer. All right, go. All right, time's up.
So I have a question for you, which I wanted to ask before, but then the time started. Do you mean like how they called them?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
actual
it's-
names.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So Federico, you are coming up from behind, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay, so I went with Tangerine,
Okay.
Bondi Blue,
Okay.
Flower Power, Red, Gray, and Green.
So you get 3 for Bondi, Tangerine, and Flower Power.
Okay.
All right.
Myke.
Bondi Blue, Tangerine, Dalmatian, Flower Power, Green, Blueberry, Graphite, Red, Yellow.
Wow.
So Myke, you get a point for Bondi, Tangerine, Blueberry, Graphite, and Flower Power.
Wow.
Dalmatian, not one?
Blue Dalmatian.
Oh, get the hell out of here, Steve Jobs.
So I know. So I'll give you the full list: Bondi, strawberry, tangerine, grape, lime, blueberry. Those are the 5 flavors. There's actually no yellow iMac G3, even though it was on our T-shirt back in the day. Graphite, indigo, ruby, which is like a dark red, sage, which is a dark green, snow, flower power, and Dalmatian. So at the end of the quiz, Myke has 10 points. Federico has 7. Well done, boys.
Thank you. That was fun.
Good.
You're finally putting all that knowledge to good use.
You get to use Devon Think, Myke.
Yeah. I can't wait, baby. I'm going to think so much.
All right. So this may come back at some point if y'all...
I hope it does.
Good. I hope y'all enjoyed that.
This feels like a quiz for grown-ups. My quiz is madness.
This is very difficult, very difficult.
It's also a very different vibe, right? Like, I like the vibe. The vibe here is a thinking. This is a thinking person's quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's just like, what movies do people think you like?
Titanic.
Yeah, I did. So I've been thinking about this for a little while, and I did have an idea for a quiz I'm not going to do, so I'll share the idea. And it was like a twist on the passionate ones, and it was, who of the two of you know me better? But then I thought I would be the real loser in that one, so.
I'll take that one. I'm going to put that one in my quizzes list. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Who loves Myke most? That's what we're going to call it. There we go.
Yeah, the first question was going to be, what's my real age? What is my real age?
38.
37. Well, I think that does it for this episode of Connected. If you want to find links to all the stuff we spoke about, there's a lot of links today. Check them out in your podcast player, or you can check them out on the web at relay.fm/connected/442. I have 2 things I'd like to draw your attention to. One is the submit feedback link. It's in both places. There you can share feedback or follow up with us.
Follow up, huh?
Follow up and away with us. We've been talking for a long time, okay?
Yeah. True follow-up.
It's a lovely little form we've built there. You can even keep your feedback anonymous if you want.
My favorite is when people keep their feedback anonymous but put their email address in. For people that are doing that, I don't understand you. Like, I don't know why people are doing that.
Those are the real hackers. You know,
Yeah.
they're anonymous, but they still want to be reached over email.
They don't want you to know their name, but they want to give you a direct way to communicate.
I don't
with
know
them.
your name, but your email address is johnsmith@gmail.com. Okay, John.
Genuinely, that happens quite a lot.
Yeah, it does. Email's not a required field in the form. For this very reason, we had this exact conversation internally. You can also, on the web and in your podcast player, sign up for Connected Pro. Connected Pro is a longer, ad-free version of the show each and every week. It's a real fun time, so go check that out. It's just $5 a month or $50 a year. You can find us all online. Federico is the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net, soon to be home of Automation April. You do not want to miss that. Be sure to be following along at Mac Stories. You can find Federico on Mastodon at mastodon.macstories.net, and he is Vitici there. You can find Myke on a bunch of other shows here on Relay FM. He is also the co-founder of Cortex Brand. You can check that out on the web. And you can find Myke on Mastodon at myke.social as iMyke. You can find me on Mac Power Users every Sunday afternoon here on Relay FM. I also write 512pixels.net. And I am ISMH at eworld.social over on Mastodon. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week that made the show possible: Fitbod, Electric, ZocDoc, and SetApp. Until next week, guys, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.